Hello there, this is Nancy Drew, and in today's episode we're going to look at the forensics and specifically JonBenet's clothes that she was wearing when she was murdered. Now this photograph is the last known photograph of JonBenet, and so she had her underwear, some black pants, and this white shirt with a star on it, and the vest. Now when she got home, Patsy said that she removed a sweater that she was wearing. Somebody removed the vest, and Patsy said she removed her black pants and replaced them with some white long johns. The murder of JonBenet Ramsey is easy to solve because the intruder left DNA on JonBenet's underwear and in her blood. And so all you have to do is find out who that person is. Or the case is not so simple because the unknown male DNA was on JonBenet's long johns way before the crime occurred. And the unknown male DNA is touch DNA, which is all skin cells scattered all over her long johns. So let me show you something. So here's a little example of kind of how they extract the DNA. So they put the little sample piece with the blood on it in the test tube there. And then they add a solution, and what's in the fabric goes into the solution. So like the blood cells and the skin cells and the urine all go into the solution. And then they put another solution in that dissolves the cell walls of those cells. And the DNA is released from all the different cells that are in that sample. So the end result is you have several strands of DNA in there. And when they did the test, the majority component was JonBenet Ramsey. And then there was a minority component of some unknown male. So it's possible that's the DNA of whoever owned these long johns. So when District Attorney Mary Lacey had the long johns, the waistband there, tested for DNA, it came back with the same DNA that was found on the underwear, because the DNA originates with the long johns. Whoever owned the boys' long johns is that unknown male DNA number one. Now when they tested JonBenet's shirt, you can see they cut out two pieces, one over there on the arm part, A, and then one kind of in the middle, B. And they did the same thing. They put those little pieces of material in a test tube and added a solution. And guess what the result was? It was solely JonBenet's DNA. That's because it was her shirt and her blood. So there was no unknown male DNA because the shirt belonged to JonBenet, whereas the long johns belonged to some boy before JonBenet wore them that night. Now, the fingernails of JonBenet Ramsey contained her DNA and some unknown individuals. And some sites and people tell you that they are a match to the DNA, unknown male DNA on JonBenet's underwear. But that's not true. The unknown DNA on her fingernails is of poor quality, and they do not match, or they cannot match them to the DNA on JonBenet's underwear. So that's just simply not true. Now, the forensic testing of the stains on the duct tape are very interesting. The DNA results are solely JonBenet Ramsey's. But the interesting part to me is that they're blood stains, or another way of saying it, those stains contain JonBenet's blood, at least one of them. And so that seems very odd, that how would her blood be on the adhesive side of the tape? Was she bleeding from the mouth? Or did some blood from her cheek or her neck somehow got on the tape? And if that is true, that indicates that she was already dead, or she was already injured when the tape was put on her mouth. Now, the blood stain on the white blanket was also solely JonBenet's DNA. The test result was JonBenet's DNA. And again, the blanket belonged to JonBenet. Now, another thing to understand is they only test the spot with the blood stain. They don't test the whole blanket. So there could be other people's DNA on this white blanket. And that wouldn't incriminate anybody in this crime unless it belonged to someone who would have no access to this blanket except on the night of the crime. Now you can see on JonBenet's Barbie nightgown that there are several places that they cut the material to take samples because they contained blood stains. But I don't believe these blood stains were from the crime. Now, the pathologist found what appeared to be pineapple in JonBenet's digestive tract just below her stomach. Her stomach was basically empty. And what I believe happened was when JonBenet was over at Fleet White's house, she didn't eat much or didn't eat at all and was playing and having a good time. And then when they went home and she was put to bed or wasn't put to bed, she complained about being hungry and not being able to go to sleep. And she told either her father or mother that she needed something to eat. And she was given this pineapple just before she went to bed. And John and Patsy lied to the police about it because they told the police that JonBenet fell asleep in the car, and she hadn't. The argument that the Ramseys are innocent because their DNA wasn't found on any of the items. Well, could John or Patsy have worn gloves? Well, looking at the ransom note, which was found by that back side glass door on the floor. It didn't have any fingerprints on it. The duct tape on JonBenet's mouth. I don't know about you, but anytime I use tape when wrapping presents, I can't help but get my fingerprints on the tape. Yet the duct tape did not have any fingerprints on it either. And the flashlight that was found in the kitchen, it had no fingerprints on it either. So if the Ramseys did the cover-up, they could have definitely wore gloves. I've heard people say, why don't they test the paintbrush handle used on the garrote or the white nylon cord or other things? But I believe they have, because if you look at this, item 8, lignature with wooden stick, and then item 27, broken section of paintbrush, item 166, white cord from victim's right wrist, item 178, blue suitcase with book, sham, and dovet, and all those other ones there. So maybe I'll look into this for our next video. Well, I'm thinking of Thanksgiving right now, so I'll see you on Friday for another episode of Unsolved.